the Tesla Model 3. I don't know how much this is going to apply to other electric vehicles. The Model 3 is the only one I've personally got experience with, but I imagine that at least the concepts would transfer across vehicles. But this video is going to be directed specifically to the Model 3. So I've seen a lot of people either expressing concern over losing range in the wintertime and the cold weather, or I've seen some people who have expressed that they're disappointed or frustrated with how much range they're losing in the cold weather. So I wanted to make a video to talk about how to eliminate some of that, some tips to maximize your range without sacrificing comfort. And I've discovered recently one fun trick to maximize my own personal comfort while I'm driving in the cold weather. So I want to share that at the end with you as well. So first things first, it is gonna happen that the electric vehicles will lose some range, and I'm not entirely certain. It might be because I know the lithium-ion batteries want to stay at a certain temperature, so it might be that the car is using some of its battery power to keep the batteries warm, to protect them. It could be something else. I'm not sure what the reason is for the range loss. It might just be that they don't perform as well in the cold weather. But either way, specific to the Tesla Model 3, what first off, before I get into that, there are two main things that are going to impact how much range you're using while you're driving. The first one is your speed, and it's well known, the same as in a typical car, that the faster you drive, especially over, I think it's 55 or 65 miles an hour, I think every 5 miles an hour over that in a typical car, you lose some fuel economy, and in an EV, it's the exact same. It's either 55 or 65 miles an hour, but every 5 miles an hour over that is costing you some of your range. So it's really about the same. So number one, just your speed. If you're whipping around at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, you're just not going to go as far, but that's normal and expected. The second thing is the climate control. And this was something I found out myself just as I was doing some research and looking into it, that the heating the cabin of the car takes a lot of electricity. And the main reason for that is that with gasoline and diesel, some of you guys may be familiar, but they're only about 50 to 60% efficient, and the other 40 to 50% that's not efficient, that's either getting lost in creating noise or creating heat. So what the typical gasoline cars will do is they'll just pump some of the excess heat that you're already generating into the cabin, so it doesn't cost a whole lot extra to run the heat in a gasoline car. With an electric vehicle, obviously that doesn't apply, so the nice thing is they're using. I've read somewhere that it's between 70 and 90%. I think for the Tesla it's closer to 90, but they use almost all the electricity that they discharge goes into moving the car forward, which is great for efficiency, but they're not generating excess noise and heat. And so when you want to heat the cabin, they have to use some of the battery capacity that would be used for driving the car forward to turn it into heat instead, which obviously it can do just fine, but it is going to hit your range, right? And something I found, and again, I don't know what features some of the other cars have, but for the Tesla, all 5 seats are heated. And what I found is that heating your seat uses a whole lot less energy than heating your entire cabin. So that said, here's what Elon recommends, Tesla recommends in terms of preparing your car is they recommend preheating the battery for 1 hour before you drive. Now, one of the nice things is, especially if you're plugged in at the time, it's not using your car's battery to preheat itself. It's using the wall charge, right? So you're not draining your range by preheating the car if you're plugged in. If you are plugged in, then obviously you are using your car's battery power, right? Uh, but they recommend preheating for an hour. With the Tesla, it's super simple to do. You just pull up the app and go to climate control and turn it on. It's that simple. And if it's cold outside, I believe the number is 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but for the battery to need to be heated. But what'll happen is you set your temperature that you want it to warm the car to, doesn't matter what temperature it is, and then it'll pop up with a little icon above the thing that says it's on and what temperature the cabin is, and it'll show, it looks like a defrost symbol, and it says heating. And what that means is that it's preheating the battery, getting it ready for you. So what I like to do is I wake up in the morning, I charge it overnight, to whatever I'm going to charge it to, and then I wake up in the morning, and as soon as I wake up, like right when I'm out of bed, I just pull up the Tesla app and I turn on the battery conditioning. So that way, as I'm getting ready to leave the house and do my thing, the battery's just warming up, getting ready. And typically, I take about an hour from the moment my feet hit the floor to the time I'm out the door. It's about an hour for me, so it works out perfectly fine. That by the time I get in the car, we're ready to rock and roll. So that is the first thing: is preheating the car, making sure. By the way, I said this in a previous video, and I do want to say it again. When I bought this car, one of the things that was most important to me was that I didn't want to change my driving habits to accommodate an electric vehicle. Granted, right, there are a lot of things, a lot more things than you might expect that are similar between a typical gasoline powered car versus an electric vehicle. But there are some just differences. They are different in a way. But one of the things is I didn't want to change how I live my life and how I drive to accommodate an electric vehicle. That was my main reason for picking the Model 3 long range. So anyway, as I'm saying this stuff, right, like I said, I wake up in the morning, I hit the app, but I'm not changing my morning routine. I'm not changing anything else. It's simply turning on the climate control when I wake up, and then when I'm ready to leave the house, my car is ready to go. And that's important to me, is that I don't have to accommodate the thing. But anyway, that's the first one. The second thing is, again, your driving habits. The reason I mentioned not changing my life for the car is I still drive just like normal. I'm on the highway, by the way. As I get on this particular road, the speed limit is 65. I'll probably be going about 70 to less than 75. But I'm going to drive it just like normal. I don't care what temperature it is, obviously within the realm of safety, of course, but the roads are completely dry and clear right now. But either way, right? So I'm going to drive it like normal, and granted, going over 70 miles an hour, the car will be a little bit less efficient, but that's what's comfortable to drive on this road. So that's the thing. But if you were driving slower, you would get more range and more economy. The last thing I want to talk about is how to stay comfortable. And I've tried a couple different things with the cabin heat, right? So I've tried having it on full blast, and I am generally cold-blooded, and I like to be warm. So I've had it blasting 72 to 74 to 75 degrees, and I've noticed that, yeah, it does eat up the range a bit. Not so much that I've panicked about it or been upset about it, but yeah, I've noticed that you can see some of the battery capacity going into heating the cabin. I've also tried turning on the seat warmers and having the cabin air going. But what I actually found, the seat warmers, at least in this car, are so freaking hot. Especially, they've got three settings, and the hot one actually makes me sweat, which is interesting and also kind of cool. But anyway, here's what I found. Right now, I've actually, just for purely creature comfort, I've got the seat heater on, and I've got the air blowing cool air, not cold, but cool air. And I find that for me, that's really enjoyable. But if I was trying to maximize my range, and I have done this very comfortably, it's just completely turning off the cabin air entirely and relying entirely on the seat heater. And I found that the whatever difference that makes in range is absolutely negligible. It doesn't even show up on my radar. Um, and then it maximizes the range. So if you're looking for maximum range, just turn off the cabin air and rely solely on the seat heaters. They are plenty warm. So anyway, those are my just things I've noticed in terms of cold weather driving. As the weather gets colder and colder, I'll have more experience with this. If anything changes, I'll be sure to post an update video. But so far, I'm pretty sure this is relevant and accurate. Um, Here's my last thing, just a fun kind of trick that I found. So I mentioned earlier that all five seats in the Tesla Model 3 are heated. So what I've started doing is I get in the car with no jacket on, and I throw my jacket in the back seat, and I drape it over two seats. And then when I get in the car, I turn on the seat heater for the back seats as well, with my jacket sitting on it, right? So I'm driving around, I've got my seat heater on, I'm nice and toasty and comfortable without the jacket, and I can actually feel the seat heat better without the jacket. And then when I go to get out of the car, I put the jacket on, and it feels like it just came out of the dryer, and it's been really cool. It makes the driving portion comfortable, and also it's a really nice feeling getting out of the car. So that's just my random trick that I found for maximum comfort in the car. That said, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any comments or anything that you would like to hear about, please leave it in the comment section below. Uh, what else? What else? If you're looking to buy a car for yourself, a Tesla specifically, I do have a referral code I can give you that's going to give you 6 months of supercharging for free. And lastly, if you're an entrepreneur looking to grow your business, check out my other videos. The Tesla ones are just a fun project for me, but I have a whole series of videos specifically for helping entrepreneurs scale and grow their business and take it to another level. So again, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, and I'll talk to you on the next video.